Alright, in today's video we are going to add the API for Logout. In the previous episode we had already seen how to add the login API. So let's go ahead and go to a terminal and create our controller for that. Artisan make controller API slash auth slash logout controller. Okay, and now we will head over to our API file. I'll duplicate the line here, add our logout route, and I will again duplicate this line, add the endpoint for logout, change the controller name and change the method name. Okay, now because we are using token based authentication provided by Sanctum, we will have to add the middleware as well called auth Sanctum. Okay, now I will go into our controller file and add the method definition: public function delete. I will add request for the request class. Okay, now we will have to delete the tokens that are created whenever you log in. So in order to do that, add the following code: request user tokens delete. Request user is our authenticated user. Okay, and this token method comes from the trait called as API tokens, which is imported in our user.5pm model over here. Okay, and we are deleting that token. That's what this is all about. And then we have to return the response. Return response JSON. Okay, 200, and I will add the data over here called status as success. Message will be user successfully logged out. Okay, now that we have added the definition and the logic, let's go ahead and test it. Open your API client, whichever you are using. Okay, I will go ahead and add the token, create the token by logging in the user. Send. You see, user logged in successfully, and this is the token that we have to use. So copy it, copy. Once it is copied, you can go ahead and duplicate this request, call it logout user, create. Once it gets created, change the URL over here, add logout, delete this file, the form, because we are not going to send any form request or anything like that. Okay, so in the form, change it to body, no body, and in the auth we will add bearer token. Paste the token that you have just copied. Okay, and next in the header section, add one more header, call it as content type, and the value for this will be application/JSON. Okay, now let's go ahead and test it. send. And you see we got 200 response, user logged out successfully. Now let us go ahead and add the documentation for a newly created logout user API. Okay, so head over to your logout controller, add the documentation, add the annotation group as common endpoints. The subgroup will be authentication, and subgroup description will be the same as what we had written in login controller. The login endpoint, login and logout endpoint for all users. Okay, we should go ahead and change it over here as well. Login and logout endpoints for all users. Okay, next up we will have to add the documentation for about the method as well. Okay, so the name is logout, description would be logout all the user from the application. This will delete all the tokens created when user logged in. Okay, now we have to add a annotation called authenticated. Why? Because it is authenticated, no? So let's go ahead and check it. But before checking it, we will have to create the scribe documentation. So in our terminal, fire the command php artisan scribe generate. Ignore this error, this warning for now, as it is not required. So we'll go now in our browser and hit refresh. You see the logout API has been added over here, and it says the requires authentication is this, the annotation that we just added, this is the why, because we added that annotation, it says now requires authentication. Alright, so that is all for today's episode. All this code, whatever changes that we have done, will be pushed into my GitHub repository. Go ahead and check it. Thank you. See you next time.